Hi, my name is Casey Bickhart. I'm the owner of Advanced Powder Solutions, and I'm excited to take you on a tour of our facility. We're here in our laboratory where we're going to tell you a little bit about the history of Advanced Powder Solutions, and I'm going to let you know what our machines are capable of doing and how we have processes and people who are here to help you with your future production. So first, let me tell you about Advanced Powder Solutions. We got our start 34 years ago. We were started as a facility to test powder materials that came in from customers interested in buying Gemco equipment. So customers typically come to us with 4 needs. The first is they would like feasibility trials. They come to us and they do the feasibility trial, and we can help them determine what the best product mix is, how to look at their raw ingredients, and how to look at their laboratory equipment, such as our Gemco formulators that you see behind me, and how they can utilize that in a process to get the end result that they're looking for. And that's obviously an even and uniformly mixed product. The second reason customers come to APS is because they're looking for development or optimization. So they have a product, they know that it works, and they want to make sure that they can optimize it. They want to either use less ingredients so it becomes less costly. They want to make sure that their timing is hitting a critical parameter that they need, and they don't want to do extra rework. They want to make sure that they get their time down to the critical measure that they're looking for. We can help with these results, and we have process engineers on staff who work very diligently side by side with your chemists and your scientists to make sure that we are enhancing your product through optimization and making sure that your process is ready for production. The third thing that customers typically come to APS for is that they want to scale up and they're not exactly sure how. So when they come to us, they're looking that they've already run something in the laboratory, it's working great, and they're ready to go to prime time. They want to get to production, and they just want to know that whatever they have done and accomplished in a laboratory setting is going to be perfectly streamlined to a production unit. Our process formulators, they look at that, they look at the engineering of each machine and all of our mechanical equipment and make sure that it's optimized for your process, starting from our 3 cubic foot laboratory models behind us all the way up to our production unit. And lastly, customers come to us because they want to run production. This is because their production process is to the max and they're already tied up. They might have one customer who just wants to run them once a quarter. They might not be able to break into their campaigns and interrupt their production processes for one particular item. So when they come here, they're looking at an extension of their facility and making sure that we are working in the same way that you work in your own facility. That also includes a process engineer. He's on staff and ready and able to help you answer any process questions and how it may or may not relate to our equipment and secondary and ancillary systems as well. He's extremely knowledgeable and has been in the industry for years, and he can help you with all of your powder processing needs and systems as you put them together, either here at Advanced Powder Solutions or in your own facility. Behind me, we're going to start in our laboratory and feasibility area where I'll show you our 3 cubic foot Gemco formulator. So these units, we've been using them in Advanced Powder Solutions for 34 years. They are tried and true. This one's an oldie but a goodie. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the formulator and what its capabilities are so you know why at Advanced Powder Solutions we choose only to work with the best. This is a small unit. It's 3 cubic foot working capacity, which means that we only fill it halfway. And the reason being is because as we fill it halfway, it will then, as it turns in macro mixes, move the bed of material completely and have void space in which to do it that with. This unit, you'll notice, has 2 shells. An internal shell, which touches the interior particles, right, inside the vessel, and that's where your product goes. However, there is a secondary jacket. In this one, you'll notice it's what we call a dimple jacket. The dimple jacket actually has heating media flowing through it. So we are actually able to heat the shell and cool the shell through a media flowing through the jacket of the vessel. The other great reason why we use Gemco formulators is because we do all of our drying capabilities under vacuum. This is imperative for those customers out there who have powder processing that needs to be done with relatively low heat. Some clients cannot go over a particular temperature set point, or high temperatures might actually discolor or degrade their product. So in order for APS to be as flexible and adaptable as we can be, we need to make sure that we are using the best equipment out there, as well as that equipment needs to be extremely flexible and adaptable to individual processes. This entire vessel will rotate. As it's rotating, it's what we call macro mixing your particles inside. So as your particles are free-flowing and moving amongst themselves, on the interior of the vessel, there is an agitator. The agitator is a protrusion into the vessel with blades on it. These blades will actually be in what we call the mixing zone, the center of this vessel and the center of your product. The agitator bar will disperse any active ingredient, any fragrance, any flavor, anything that you are spraying on, any active particle that you want coating, any other particle that you have, it will do for you. It's called the great equalizer in processing. It can take raw materials that are of different densities, of different sizes, and of different shapes, and actually get them to be balanced enough so your product comes out evenly and uniformly distributed. The agitator is also used for spraying on liquid. In the micro mixing zone, while that's happening, we can actually spray liquid as the entire bed of material is being macro mixed. Therefore, your gem coat formulator is going to give you the best even and uniform distribution blend out there. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the drying process, and as you're moving over your excess carrier and we're drying that off, I'm going to tell you what happens here using our gem coat system, and especially this piece of equipment right here, which is our solvent recovery system. Some of our customers at Advanced Powder Solutions have a solution that they would like to spray onto their bed of material. And by doing so, they're depositing an active on top of all of their particles. And they want APS to evenly and uniformly coat that entire particle. And the way that we do that is using the gem coat formulator that I just showed you and how it mixes very, very efficiently. And the second half of how we do that is drying off the excess carrier. So inside this solution that our customers send over to us is an active ingredient and a carrier to deposit and flow that ingredient onto the bed of material as it mixes. So then what happens is we go through a drying process. And during the drying process, we heat the shell, which I've explained, and then the excess carrier starts to be boiled off. The excess carrier could be aqueous or it could be solvent-based. Advanced Powder Solutions is set up to handle both. And the way that we handle it is with this solvent recovery system, which you see behind me. I'm going to go through the different parts of it. So as the carrier is being heated, it starts to vaporize inside the unit. The vacuum that you see here will literally pull a vacuum all the way through to the unit. As it pulls through the primary filter, all of your particulate will make sure it stays inside the vessel, while only the carrier is being pulled through the filter. It gets pulled through our entire vacuum line through a secondary entrainer, which you see right here. The secondary entrainer stops any particulate that may have gotten through. And then it goes to what we call the condenser. And on the condenser, that heated solvent, that heated aqueous carrier, starts to condense out. This is chilled and stays very cool. So as the Warren's vapor comes through, it starts getting chilled, and then it goes into its liquid form. As it goes to its liquid form, it transfers right down here into our jacketed receiver tank. And as it stays a nice cool liquid, we're able to account for it at the end of the batch. This is imperative for our clients who want a mass balance calculation at the end of their runs to make sure all of their active ingredient was deposited on their particles. And then secondarily, they use this in our very green recovery system, and they use this recovered solvent for cleaning agents, or to even add additive particles back in and additive ingredients to make sure those actives stirred up again and then come back for round two. Advanced Powder Solutions is always striving to do the best and the greatest and the right thing, and we're very happy to be a very nice green facility where we recycle and reuse as much as we possibly can for our clients. So we just went through feasibility in our pilot lab, and now we're moving to scale up, which is pretty exciting. You've now entered into our 1984 wing, which is really exciting because I'm going to show you other parts of the facility of how we've grown and expanded throughout the years. But now I'm going to show you our 30 cubic foot, which is our first step to scale up in production. This unit right here is our 30 cubic foot gem coat formulator. For APS to be as adaptable and flexible as possible, we know that we need to accept different containers. They could be boxes, drums, super sacks, or bags from our clients in order to be their extension of manufacturing and what material handling device they use in their own manufacturing plants. So behind me, you'll see a formulator, a Gemco formulator in drying mode. When this unit is actually in loading mode, we will use the device on the bottom of it called the Gemcomatic. And that Gemcomatic has 2 air cylinders and a tray. When the unit is in zeroed position, the tray is then lowered down to the floor. Once it's on the center of the tray, the operator will actually hit a button that will toggle the tray and lift it pneumatically up and seal it against the gasket at the bottom of the valve of the blender. When it does this, there is an airtight seal. Then the operator will start the loading sequence. As he uses the HMI to do so, the drum and the tray will start to rotate with the entire unit. As the drum and the tray are rotating in the upward position, once it hits the 10 o'clock position, the valve will open and the contents of the drum will start to trickle into the unit, into the dryer. At 2 o'clock, the entire contents of the drum have been emptied into the unit and the valve will close, sealing the contents inside the vessel and sealing the drum empty on the outside of the vessel. The valve will close and the loading sequence will continue until the unit has reached the zero position again. Once it's reached the zero position, the operator will lower the tray and the empty drum will be able to be taken off and rolled away. The next drum is then put onto the tray and loaded during the loading sequence again. This allows us to have one operator, 100% efficiency and quick loading so we can accommodate your drum needs here at APS. Again, like our 3 cubic foot, this 30 cubic foot formulator behind me is also explosion proof, meaning our motors are class 1 DIP 1. We have explosion proof lighting in our rooms and we're able to accommodate any client need that may have a solvent base or explosive powders that we would have to look and work with very carefully. Our staff is well trained to read an SDS sheets and making sure that we are able to safely work with your product just as you would in your own facility. So as we continue our tour through Advanced Powder Solutions, behind me you'll see our largest piece of equipment and processing piece of equipment that we have here, and it is the 150 cubic foot unit. That means that we can work with volumes up to 150 cubic feet of your powder. So when new clients come to us, they start all the way from feasibility and development, do our scale up processes, and then end up in this guy, if they have enough material, that is. So inside the 150 cubic foot, Advanced Powder Solutions is always looking to automate its processes. And one of the things that we've done back in 2006 with this particular unit is we went with lights out technology. That meant that this was the first unit that we automated to run overnight with no operator. We used to have 3 shifts here, and the operators would stay here all night taking batch records and meticulous notes on what was happening with the unit and the powders that we were running. They had to maintain all the processes and look at all the mechanical functionality of the equipment to make sure that everything was running in spec according to the procedure. So when we looked at that, we saw a lot of redundancy and humans and operators, and we wanted to automate that process cycle to make sure that we gave you the most consistent results for your particular process. First thing that we did was take a look at blinding filters. So inside this unit, as we look and it's rotating and we're watching it overnight, we're noticing that sometimes the vacuum pressures that we have are not matching the vacuum pressures inside the unit. So therefore the vacuum was pulling more vacuum, but the filter was blinded. As the operator had to walk up the stairs to brush down the filter, he actually had to interrupt the batch. And this stopped all progress on the batch while it was running throughout the night. So to eliminate any hazards that the operator might face in coming in contact with any particular powders, as well as eliminate any error or human issue that may come in contact with your process, we wanted to make sure that we automated the entire step. And the first thing that we did was we came up with a blowback system. This is equivalent to a pulse back system for filters. And what it does is it automates that when the unit actually sees real-time data of a filter being clogged, instead of having an operator walk up those stairs, brush down the filter, interrupt an entire process, An automatic burst of inert gas does it for us automatically. There's no delay in your process, there's no interruption in your process. And this is just one more way that Advanced Powder Solutions is here to meet the demands of your production. One interesting thing that you'll see on this piece of equipment is a nice shiny outer shell. And on the 3 cubic foot, you might have noticed a dimple shell. This unit actually has 3 layers of shells. The first is that internal vessel where you have product contact. The second is actually a dimple shell. You can't see it here, but it's right inside the outer shell layer, which is an insulation jacket. The insulation jacket helps us keep a nice clean room, a nice clean wash down surface. And this is very good because it will also keep all of the heat from that heating media and that heating step inside on your process and not outside in this big gigantic room. The unit you see behind me was built in 1996. And this unit has grown with APS just as we grow for all of our customers. And as we do so, this unit needs to become more flexible and adaptable. And in order to do that, for our clients, we make sure that our material handling capability is up to date with the latest material handling capability you use in your own facilities and plants. So welcome to the next stop on our tour. This is the Porta Hopper room. This is my favorite room. This is my favorite machine. This is actually just a mixer. Other units that we've seen in APS are what we call Gemco formulators. This is Gemco mixing. And this is Gemco mixing at its finest because it is continuous mixing. That means that we can run continuous production in this unit all day long. The design of this unit is very unique, and we use it here at APS to serve all of our clients who have very large campaign trials. When you look at the unit behind me, you'll notice that halfway through the shell, it's cut in half. This unit has a hopper underneath it. So the entire mixer will actually drop down. The hopper drops down to the ground and can be wheeled around the facility at any time and any place. Therefore, it allows you built-in material handling. That's very important to us because our customers, as an extension of their manufacturing, we need to keep up with their production demands. And your production demands are extremely important to us. So we actually have 6 hoppers for this machine, meaning at any given time, one hopper can be in quality control, one hopper can be at cleaning, one hopper can be at loading, one hopper can be discharging, and one hopper can be staging or getting ready to actually run. The hopper that you see behind me is actually attached to the unit. It's in the upright position, meaning the hooks around of it are all locked in place, meaning that the wheels are also above the ground. This hopper is ready to spin. It's ready to produce. Some of our pharmaceutical clients use Porta Hoppers all the time in their production, and they're using the hoppers in a variety of different ways, in a variety of different stages throughout the entire process. Some pharmaceuticals, they use it on top of the tablet filler, and it becomes a material handling device to feed their tablet or capsule fillers. Others use it in their QC, some are in quarantine, some are in staging, some are in shipping, and they actually use these devices all over their plant for ease of use. The Porta Hopper is a little different from a formulator. In a formulator, you can dry, heat the shell, you can coat, you can add liquids, and you can pull vacuum to dry off excess liquid. In the Porta Hopper, you can still fragrance, you can still flavor, or you can still spray surface treatments whenever you like. Adding on liquid is still just as easy as doing it in a formulator. However, when you add on liquid, some of our clients add it on neat or with very, very little carrier that will not get dried off. This unit behind me is a mixer, meaning it has a single shell, not 3, that we need for heating media and insulation. Therefore, this is not a dryer or it cannot pull vacuum. So this is mainly meant for blending and blending of large volumes of material. Gemco is always trying to look out for its clients as well as their operators, and safety is paramount. So the Porta Hopper fits that role perfectly. And when we designed this piece of equipment, safety was in mind. As you can see, there are forklift attachments. You're able to forklift this around, or it's simple and balanced and you're able to push it. You can push this material handling device or forklift it wherever you need it to go. In addition, because the whole bottom drops out and is portable, you are able to be flexible with your cleaning and not have a confined space for your operators. This is huge for any OSHA internal safety committee that you may have at your plant, and our clients love to hear this. Like every other production room in APS, we designed this room with a level and standard of cleanliness that is only equatable to your own production facility. We make sure that our walls are stainless steel, so they're easily washed down. We make sure our floors are nicely epoxied, so therefore they're easily washed down as well. Product changeover and cleanover has never been easier with our stainless steel support frames, as well as wash down motors, and of course our stainless steel units. Here at APS, you never have to worry about contamination, cross-contamination from other products or suppliers, or any contaminant getting into your product. You can make sure that you have a safe and consistent result every time by using APS. Many of our customers who use the porta hopper also use the jet mill process afterwards. This is an extra milling step. We actually use the porta hopper as our material handling device to put it on top of our jet mill, in which case the material is actually gravity fed straight into our jet mill hopper. We can utilize the porta hopper as our material handling step. This means that we don't have to touch the powder. It literally leaves this unit and goes straight to our jet mill for quicker and more efficient processing for you. So behind me you see our 100 cubic foot unit. This is a new addition to APS, and we're happy to continue expanding with more volume for our clients. This unit can hold 100 cubic foot of working capacity volume, so it's great for our clients who want to run a large capacity or a large bulk campaign. Our APS clients who use this machine are able to discharge into bulk bags, boxes, drums, and bags. This allows us to give a wide variety of material handling capacity and types to our clients and make sure that we are living up to their standards for manufacturing. This new unit in APS is outfitted with all the bells and whistles. It has all the material handling devices built into one machine. That means it has the Gemcomatic discharging capabilities so we can go into drums, and it also has a farm arm. Our farm arm is an arm that allows one operator to utilize a bulk bag and discharge by gravity straight into it. Normally, bulk bags tend to use 2 operators or even 3 or 4 to hold the bulk bag in place, and you often get a lot of mess. Here at APS, we're constantly innovating and constantly looking for ways to improve our efficiencies and effectiveness with material handling. We're happy to have the farm arm, the Gemcomatic, and other devices able to supply our customers with the needs they want for raw material receipt as well as final product shipment. So here at APS, in an effort to get consistent, quality, reliable batches, we have automated a ton of our systems. And this also means using control panels for our units. These control panels are driven by PLCs, VFDs, they have HMIs and OITs, and all those good things that make it easy for us to understand exactly what's happening in that big guy. So when our operators come in the morning, they're here from 8 to 4:30, they unload the batch from the prior night, they load up the batch for the next day, and then they start it, go home, get some sleep, and come back the next morning and do it all over again. This automation has allowed us to run 24/7, but only on a single shift. APS is constantly innovating and constantly looking for safer, better, faster, more efficient ways to run your production. So looking at these units, they're not see-through. You can't see what's happening inside. And many of our clients come to us saying, "What's happening inside?" They ask our process engineer that every single day. And what he tells them is, "Here, let me show you." He gives them a printout of all of the critical parameters that are important to our clients so they can have it for their batch records. These units are outfitted with radio frequency transmitters and other amazing technology that allow us to have real-time data. And our process engineer loves data. He's constantly analyzing trends and talking with customers about exactly what happened that they couldn't see. Here at APS, we're very proud of our technology, we're very proud of what it does, and most important, we're proud that it can support you in understanding how to optimize your process even more. We're happy to run your production for you and be a part and a support network to your team. Being an FDA facility, it's imperative that our clients, whether they're cosmetic, FDA, or chemical, get a batch that is consistent with their process. The process is translated into a procedure, and we need to make sure at APS that we are following that procedure to the letter. In order to do so, that procedure has critical parameters in which the batch needs to run in. This could be vacuum, pressure, temperature, or even humidity. And making sure that all of these critical parameters are documented on a batch record, so then that way our customers have the knowledge and the know-how of exactly what happened with their batch, and to make sure that they have the documentation to back it up. So here on the screen, we see these critical parameters laid out. They actually are coming and being transmitted to this screen by radio frequency transmitters located on the unit. They're spread out all over the unit to measure pressures and temperatures of whatever critical parameter our customer tells us to measure. All of these then get put onto our data log. Our data log is based at half-hour intervals, where we used to have an operator stay overnight and take down copious notes and make sure that all of these critical parameters were written down. But now this machine automates and makes sure that we have everything transmitted back to this receiver and inputted to the PLC to make sure that we are keeping track of everything that we need to keep track of. This tells me the vacuum of what happened, this tells me the vapor temperature, this tells me product temperature. So even though I'm not here and I'm not watching the unit, when I come in the morning, I know exactly what happened. It's also nice to see because as these fill in, I can start to see trends. We can start to know exactly what happened for a process and when it was optimized, when it reached the result that we wanted, to make sure that we can shrink drying times, that we can increase our productivity, and make sure that you get the most production run with the most efficient time. We have different parameters which go to different temperature-based drying screens or time-based drying screens. So when our operator sets in the different parameters or the recipe of how we want to make a particular product for a client, it's all right here and everything is documented. We also have gauges that tell us where we are in the process, and we also have progress bars that tell us how we're running and what we're running and at what time and stage we are in the process. These control panels are so automated that they actually have speakers on them as well. This allows the operator not only to see what stage of the process that we're in, but also hear and get a reminder for what stage of the process we're in. So the unit will actually talk and say, you have entered the heating mode, you have entered the drying mode, or you have entered the cooling mode. These different modes and these different triggers will let the operator know exactly what's happening with the batch, even when they're not physically here reading it or looking at it. Advanced Powder Solutions is a CGMP facility. We're also an FDA registered facility, so we know all about documentation. We have an amazing QC department, which makes sure all of our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed to make sure the batch records that you receive are perfect each and every time that you get them. Our shipping documents, all the way from internal receipt of bills of lading, inventory, control, and process, as well as everything that we get from our batch as it runs, are all part of your batch records and your batch process that you get with every batch you make here at Advanced Powder Solutions. APS has an extensive warehouse, so we are able to accommodate all of your raw materials for however large or small your campaign size is. With the Gemco formulator technology, as well as jet milling capability and screening and sifting capability, we're able to handle all of your powder processing needs under one roof. We're conveniently located at the 287 and 78 corridor, which makes us a convenient and strategic partner to become your extension of manufacturing. Please call our facility today to speak with our process engineer. We'd be happy to help you optimize your process and scale up for production.